So that's one way to do it sort of horizontally. Then I do the same thing vertically, this direction. In one spot on the neck, and I don't play as much usually as I do in right here. I'm just demonstrating here. Instead, I practice going through each position to make sure I know where the notes are, and usually that ends up being 3 notes per string. And then I move to the next position and so on, and then combine that with the horizontal playing, and before you know it, you have the scale under your fingers and you can use it. And another tip for you is to work on patterns, because I find patterns are useful because it automatically creates a melodic sound. A pattern could be something like, and then I start from the second note and play 3 notes. Start from the third note, play 3 notes. Starts sounding like Yngwie Malmsteen almost. But that's not the point. The point is that it sounds melodic, and you can make up other types of combinations. And from this you can end up with nice chord voicings too, because all of these notes that you now know eventually all over the fretboard, you can use them in all sorts of cool combinations and come up with your own chord voicings that sound awesome. That's something I also spend time with, exploring the neck and exploring the chords. I mean, instead of just a typical E major, I might look at, okay, I have the 5, I have the 6, and the 5 again, and root note. I could do the 6, the 7, the 5, and the root note. Have the second here, and so on. Might not be the perfect voicing for everything, but might have its use. At least I know where to find the notes. If I take a grip like this, I move it according to where the notes are in this direction, horizontally. And come up with those little type of combination of notes. Another one maybe could be here we have an E6 chord with the bottom E string open. I take that same shape and move to the next available notes from the scale. The E string is still ringing at the bottom. Then I get cool voicings and I'm harmonizing again. So if the song is just kind of staying on E chord, you can throw in these things. And suddenly you have a melodic way of chording, and then more of a kind of a voice leading thing, and you can create melodies out of the chords. Continue. And then you have to think, okay, what happens next? Each note has to travel this direction to follow the scale. Right? Cool voicings, and they all belong to that major scale. So that's one reason why I like to do E, because of the open strings, and you can do so much cool stuff with it. I often do this. Hendrix embellishment type of things, which is usually just the 5 and the root note, and hammer on the 2nd or the 6th. Sometimes the 4th and the 2nd. And you explore the neck and find them in different places to get used to how to play them in a comfortable way and in a way that sounds good, of course. Now, finally, just to make you blues guys a little more interested in this, maybe that's a late time to say that in the video, but we do have the minor pentatonic in here too. In that case, we have to move it. I mean, the parallel minor to E major would be C sharp minor. So that's the C sharp minor pentatonic scale, which is the same notes as E major pentatonic. But the point here is that the minor pentatonic is inside these major scales somewhere. You just have to know where it is. So that means you can combine a pentatonic type of playing with the major scale type of playing. I could do some patterns with the minor pentatonic. And then go into the major scale. Back into the pentatonic. And of course you eventually get bored of that major sound anyway, because you just stick into this one sound and one chord. Then you start exploring other scales, because the cool thing when you just have the string ringing like this, you can blend in other scales and just gonna sound cool. You can mix major and minor and so on. But the point is, learn for life. Don't rely on tab and reading the notes that you're about to play. That's your last resort. Just you can check up on things and make sure you're doing the right thing or look up something. But you want to be memorizing these things. Put it in the office. And hopefully it stays there better than it does for me. But you have to know these things so you can improvise, because an improviser, he's not going to be reading his notes as he's playing them. That's not improvising. An improviser, whether it's jazz, blues, anything, he knows where notes are, and it doesn't even matter if you know what they're called and so on, but you know what it's going to sound like before you play it. And you get there by just practicing, taking your time, exploring the sound of them, knowing which notes sound good and how you can create melodies out of them. So that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's how I learned to play. That's how I continue to learn and expand my skills. And of course, this is just a scratch on the surface. I go into, more advanced chord progressions, but the same approach applies. I'm exploring each scale and each chord, and I try to find ways to tie them together. And I take my time, due diligence, look at the fretboard, start to see these little patterns, start to understand how I can make use of a scale to create the sound that I want. Because a scale is just like a structure for you. You don't have to stick to the scale all the time. You can go beyond the scale and do other things and be a little wild and just go for it and see what happens. Sometimes you learn some really cool things. You come up with some great ideas by just winging it, and wow, that was weird, but it was cool, So don't be afraid to explore and take your chances. Just make sure that you know what's going on, so that you can learn for life. So it's just not a random, incident, right? And my final word, I promise, record yourself. As you're playing through these things, you might find yourself that certain spots you're weak. record yourself even if you're just practicing like this, and you'll find, oh, the G string is always a problem for me. I can hear that when I'm listening back. I'm messing up the notes on the G string. Well, there's your answer for what you should be working on then. You take your time and explore the G string in this case compared to the other strings, and make sure you know where all the notes are on that string. So let me know how you like this lesson, and send me questions for a future lesson, and I will do my best to answer it. Thanks for now, and I'll see you soon.